Hey, Forrest here. Nothing like getting paid. And with ICCU's mobile app, I can deposit checks or accept Zelle payments so the money hits my account fast. I just wish there was an app for mowing the rest of these lawns.
Right now, Lithia Ford of Boise is buying used vehicles. How much you want for the SUV?
I don't know.
Well, Lithia Ford will give you more than that.
How much more?
More than you think.
I'm not thinking anything.
I'm thinking you might get even more than that. See how much more you can get at Lithia Ford of Boise.
When it comes to concrete, we've got you covered. RowPaint.com offers custom concrete coating services for your garage, business, warehouse, and more. And we do it in one day. We are your complete concrete coatings solution.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Today's broadcast is coming from the Cutwater Spirits Canned Cocktail Studios. Check out one of their more than 30 flavors of pre-mixed premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Cutwater Canned Cocktails is perfect for your next game day tailgate party. Now, here's four-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, how we doing, Boise State fans? A happy Wednesday to you. Wednesday means Jordan Kaye is here. It is a Wednesday edition of Bronco Nation News Live here at BroncoNationNews.com. Football team currently on the field practicing. They'll be leaving tomorrow for Memphis. And then you got the game on Saturday. Jordan, I was talking to Jay Tust about it, decided to add it up. Tomorrow will be the 28th different city that I've covered a Boise State football game in. So,
wow.
128th, it'll be my 129th game out of 132 Boise State games. I've missed 3 games the last 11 years, 2 trips to Hawaii. One was during COVID, and then last year missed that Wyoming game at home to be at the Myrtle Beach Invitational. But this will be their 132nd game since 2013. This will be I've only missed 3 of them, so this will be 129, and I got 29 different cities that I have covered a Boise State game in. So it's you never know when you get in the sports media field, man. It lets you see some pretty cool places, take some pretty cool trips, and looking forward to Memphis, Tennessee for Boise State at Memphis. Did go to the Liberty Bowl last year, as we've talked about for the KU game. I know Andy Avalos has been to the Liberty Bowl, and I know you're working on a story on that. We can maybe get into here at some point, but
yeah.
We had basketball practice yesterday. We were both over there watching that. We talked to Talon Green and some football players yesterday. So busy Tuesday, and it's going to be another busy Wednesday today. But how's it going, man?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. I actually, by the way, am speaking today, the Idaho Innovation Week. For some reason, they asked me to speak on the they're doing a Future of Sports event, and I've been asked to speak on the future of sports media. So I've been preparing my little presentation and my speech, and going to dress up and going to give a little presentation. I'm actually the lead-in to Leon Rice speaking, I found out last night. He is speaking about the future of sports collegiately in terms of NIL and transfer portal and all this stuff. So they asked me, I guess, to kind of help build the audience up, warm up the crowd a little bit for when Coach Rice takes the stage after me.
You're the opening act.
I guess so, yeah. They wanted to make sure the crowd was already full and excited and ready to go when Coach Rice got there. So I guess I'm third or fourth on the list, and then they've got a little break for lunch, and then Coach Rice is right after me. But was honored that David McKenzie and everybody over there at the Idaho Innovation Week thought enough of what we're doing at BNN and kind of the new wave here with media that they wanted to have me speak. Unfortunately, the time is right during the coach interviews today, so you'll have to grab those for us, Jordan, and get some video, and we'll get those back. And I don't want to tease. I'm not even going to say it. I'm working on another cool story that I'm going to have to put off for a week or two until I can talk to some coaches myself. But it has to do with Leon Rice's crazy kicking idea that we played yesterday. But that was very interesting. Leon Rice had the idea to have the guy get a running start on the kick. And so I did a little research on that, and looking forward to maybe seeing if that actually is legal and what the chances are somebody might actually try that at some point. But we're gonna have plenty of time to talk football. Let's start basketball. Speaking of Leon Rice, we were both at practice yesterday, the first official practice of the season. They've been practicing for a while now, but just your take on what you saw over in the practice gym yesterday.
It was awesome. Like I don't know. Maybe it's just because of the way last year ended. Maybe it's just because of the way they let you go into Canada. But like me, I just have like enthusiasm, excitement about this basketball team. I mean, we are what, a month away, 2 months away from the first game they're playing this year, and like it's hard not to just go to practice and be like, man, this is going to be a fun team. Like this is going to be a fun season. You start looking around and you're, I mean, already projecting starting lineups. You're doing all this stuff, and this is the great part about college basketball. The great part about college athletics when it's done right is you start looking around a gym and you know everyone's name. It's like, holy cow, Tyson Degenhardt, wow, he looks a little bigger. How much better is he from his freshman year? Max Rice is back for his 6th year. Oh, Chibuzo Avo finally a full year under his belt. And then you start looking at the newcomers and you're like, how can they contribute? Cam Martin looks really good. Omar Stanley looks like he's, a 34-year-old bodybuilder. You got Andrew Meadow and Chris Lockett. And it's like, this team has so many pieces, so much talent. And it's a beautiful blend of the old, the new, the transfer portal, the freshmen, the veterans. It's like a fun team. It's awesome. And, kudos to Leon Rice. Maybe it took him a couple years longer than he wanted, but like he has taken a really big market share of like fan interest.
No doubt about it. Jordan says, did last year end? It feels like there was no off season. So hyped right now. And I think that did carry over to the Canadian trip. With the Canadian trip and then kind of keeping things rolling. And I mean, they were the only Mountain West team to not lose a starter to the transfer portal. And then you factor in, no offense, but if you look at the three players that transferred out, Pavle Kuzmanovic, Burke Smith, and Sada Nganga, and the three replacements, Omar Stanley, Cam Martin, and Roddy Anderson, at least in the immediate short-term future, it's a massive upgrade, those three trades. I mean, the transfer portal did wonders for Boise State from that standpoint. And then you factor in, like you said, Andrew Meadow, Chris Lockett, a guy like Jace Whiting making big improvements. RJ Keene is expected to have a role. And then, oh, by the way, they've got maybe the best, returning trio in the Mountain West in Max Rice, Tyson Degenhardt and Chibuzo Abo. And I was just watching Max Rice yesterday, and it's just crazy. I mean, when you think you never know how your career is going to go, but I remember Max Rice when he committed and talked to him he was sitting out by his dad's pool. And a lot of people were wondering, what is this just a token thing because his dad's a coach? Yeah. He redshirts the first year, starts to get some playing time. But, I mean, Max Rice is legitimately one of the best players in the Mountain West. And just how old he is. You think about that COVID year. You think about what last year did for Max Rice, and, like, that should have been his senior year. I mean, he even heck went through a senior night thing with his parents, which was still weird. I mean, like that should have been his – fifth-year senior he's done, and it would have been a great finish, but you could have kept thinking, man, if he just had one more year. And now, sure enough, like because of that COVID year, Max Rice gets one more full year as a established star player. I'm very intrigued to see. We saw what he did in the San Diego State games. He had some huge games, had some other games where maybe he struggled to shoot a little bit, but by and large, Max Rice had a heck of a year last year, and I am intrigued by all the players, but I think how does Max Rice build off last year? And now that teams know he's a lethal shooter, how do they start guarding him? How does he add to his game? I think Max Rice, back for a 6th year, has a chance to just have a monster year. And I'm super intrigued to watch Max Rice this year.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the guys when I got to Boise, during that 2022 season, he was still coming off the bench, and I think he was in his shooting slump at that point, and it was turning to you guys. And I was like, did this guy ever make a shot? You're like, yeah, he does. He's just in a bad slump right now. And, I mean, he was hardly getting playing time. You fast forward, and, yeah, he's a leader of the team. He's going to start on every game. He's one of the better shooters in the Mountain West. It's crazy. But when you talk about, the returning dudes, like, what is Tyson Degenhart going to look like with the center? Maybe two centers. I mean, he was a guy who had to bang bodies game after game after game. He's getting into battles down low with guys who are 4 inches taller, 25, 30 pounds bigger sometimes. And you saw it. I mean, he had to put on weight. Like he was way probably bigger than he is right now. And I think Leon was kind of talking about, hey, this is not like his body type. This is not the position he's supposed to be playing. He's doing this to help the team, which we appreciate. But when you look at his 3-point numbers and why they've kicked down, you've got to take all that into account. And so Tyson Degenhart now with the center who can take a little bit of the load off, how much better is he going to be? Like, could he get? I saw someone put Degenhart was voted the 61st best player in college basketball. I don't know what that's on, but could he jump into like the top 30, or do people kind of know who he is?
Yeah, this was from the Almanac with Jeff Goodman and Rob Doster and them. But I actually work and write for Lindy's magazine, and I didn't have much of a vote in this, but I have seen the proofs. When the Lindy's magazine comes out in the next week or two, Tyson Degenhart is the number 40 ranked player in the country, according to going into the season, according to Lindy's magazine. So when the Lindy's magazine comes out, unless they made any kind of final updates, the original list I saw, he was number 40. And I mean, you're talking about some big time players that he is ahead of on that list. So number 40 is a huge deal. And it just kind of shows you where he has gotten to. And then we haven't even mentioned, Chibuzo Abo, who had a heck of a year last year and his first year as a starter. I thought he looked like he had toned up his body a little bit. And he had a, quiet, solid time in Canada. Didn't really need to take over. But that mid-range jumper that he has, that quick release on the three-pointer from the corner, he can get to the rim. He can do a lot of different things. I mean, he's going to be if he's your third best player, fourth best player, I mean, that's pretty crazy. So,
yeah.
I think Abo is going to have an all Mountain West type year as well. And I believe in the Lindy's preseason magazine, I believe they had all three of those guys at least on the third team. So I want to say they had first team for Degenhart, second team for Max Rice, third team for Chibuzo Abo in Lindy's. And so, and I can check that actually right here while we're talking. I mean, you're talking about three of the best players going into the season in the Mountain West Conference. And Chibuzo Abo was third team from Lindy's when that comes out. But you're talking about a first team of Isaiah Stevens, Jamal Mashburn, Keenan Blackshear, Lamont Butler, and Tyson Degenhart. Second team, Jalen House, Max Rice, Jared Lucas, Jadion Ladie, and Didon Thomas from UNLV. And then third team, Darian Trammell, Isaiah Hill, Sam Griffin, Chibuzo Abo, Nelly Jr. Joseph, a transfer there from New Mexico. And they've also, I don't even know if I'm supposed to be saying this or not, but the preseason player of the year for Lindy's is Tyson Degenhart. And I think there's a good chance he'll be the official Mountain West preseason player of the year going into the league. So as you said, they've got legitimate star power on their team. I mean, Tyson Degenhart's playing in the NBA, right? I mean, at least he's going to get some sort of look at some point. I don't know for sure if he's a player that gets drafted, but if he has at least one more year and maybe 2 more years where we think he could, I mean, he's got a skill set and a size that I think is an NFL or NBA, type thing. So I know John Mallory's very high on his NBA prospects. But I mean, they've got legitimate star power mixed in with some young, with some glue guys and some young kind of intriguing options, like you said. And, I asked Leon Rice, do you have the super team you wanted? And, he said, yes. He said, some people have different definitions of super team. They thought we would just go out and find the 10 best players in the country. So that doesn't always work. I mean, you look at Kentucky and some of these schools, you can throw Memphis in there where they get all these 4- and 5-star recruits and they have a talented roster, but they don't play together. He said, we have the best super team because they do have that mix of veterans, young guys, freshmen, stars. And he feels very, very good about this roster going into the season. And there's for obvious reasons, there's a lot to like.
No, I mean, they finally have what we think is depth. I mean, that was the bugaboo last year. They were fine for January, February, even a little bit into March, but I mean, you saw it at that Utah State game to end the season. You saw it in the Mountain West tournament. You saw it in the NCAA tournament. These guys were gassed. I mean, when you're playing 33, 34, 35 minutes every game for the entire season, like it's gonna catch up to you, and that's what happened. Leon Rice's biggest thing this season was go out and get depth. He did that with 3 transfers and 2 freshmen that we think, are good enough to play. He did that, we think Kobe Young is going to play. We think RJ Keene is going to play. I mean, all of a sudden you start looking around the gym, and last year, I mean, you're looking around like who's going to play? Like, I mean, in a bad way, you're like, where is the talent? And this year you start looking around like, oh gosh, like this now it's on Leon Rice. Like he's got a tough job.
And I do hope that he, I hope that he actually does play more guys, and I think he will. There's more guys capable this year. I mean, I still worry that he's just going to ride max and some of these guys to 35 plus minutes, and in some games you might have to do that. But over the course of the season, you'd really like to see the Meadows and Keens of the world, and they showed in Canada. I think they're worthy of some minutes, and even if it's an extra 2 minutes in the first half or an extra couple of minutes here, I mean, that does add up. And I mean, Leon was pretty honest yesterday. He said, guys, it wasn't like I didn't want to play guys last year. He's like, I mean, anyone that watched basketball, like the talent drop, like he basically was taking shots at their bench last year and was like, anyone that watched the game, the guys that we had like weren't worthy of playing. So he's like, we had no choice. And hopefully that's going to be different this year.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't want to throw a guy in and then just be, tight, real wound up, like not waiting for them to make a mistake. And I think, in Canada, it was cool to see, like he was saying, hey, I threw our bench guys in and we got better. He's like, that's what you need. It's going to take a couple months probably for him to be able to trust guys. But man, if he can trust guys and kind of work that lineup, that's a big deal. But I mean, it's kind of an interesting spot where a lot of this will fall on him. Sometimes it's really easy for a coach if they've only got 5 or 6 guys to play. Like you don't have to make any decisions. Yeah. And now it's going to, kind of be on him to make decisions. I can't imagine many times throughout, his 13 years where, he was ever questioned much about, rotations or anything. Just given that, if you don't have enough guys, not much you can do. And so, yeah, it's going to be really cool to see how he kind of tinkers with the lineup, tinkers with the rotation, and throws out some different looks.
And then you mentioned, kind of the hype and excitement. They're on pace for all-time record season ticket sales. They've got the Leon's Landing, season tickets for $100 up there in the upper deck. They've got a flex pass option similar to the Blue Collar Club, where $125 gets you season tickets for the basketball team. They give you a different seat every game based on what's open. That comes down to $25 a month. You can just pay monthly or upfront. I know my family, we're even thinking about doing that for Karen and the boys, because even if you go to like 5 games, it makes it worth it for you. But it comes down to like $7.50 a game or something if you spread it out for season tickets for $125. So they're trying everything they can. You have to expect that arena is going to be fairly full for a lot of games this year. Before we switch to football, I will throw this into like, it's just welcoming to go into that practice gym. Like kudos to Leon Rice for the culture. I even remember one time, I think it was a couple summers ago, where it was a summer workout or something, and they had some like boosters and people watching practice. And I remember Leon Rice pulling his group together and saying, if you see people sitting over there, if you see people come into the gym, you go over and shake their hand, you go over and say, how you doing? And I will vividly always remember Leon Rice like instilling in his players, like when you see somebody that comes into the practice gym that's not on the team, whether it's a booster, whether it's somebody else in the athletic department, whether it's the media. They had like 3 guys come over and shake my hand yesterday, like 3 players. Like it just doesn't happen. We don't go to the practice field at football and have players come over and shake our hands. Like that just doesn't happen. So the culture that he's instilling there, you had Mike Burns coming over and joking about the Mariners in between drills. I mean, just they just make it a very welcoming place, and I can see why players want to play for Leon and that staff. Yeah. And I just wanted to throw in a quick, I don't know if thank you is the right word, but just kudos to the basketball program. It's fun. They're fun to cover. They make it, enjoyable to go on the road and cover some of these games. They make it enjoyable when we have a lot going on in the middle of football season to come, spend an hour over at basketball practice. It's because it's a fun team to cover, good personalities, good dudes, and good coaching staff. And it's just a lot of fun going to cover basketball.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Hey, let's switch to football, but first, a quick word from some of our sponsors. All Bronco Nation news broadcasts come from the Cutwater Spirits Canned Cocktail Studios. Check out one of their more than 30 flavors of pre-mix premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Cutwater Spirits, perfect for your next game day tailgate party. Our title sponsor is rowpaint.com. For all your commercial, industrial, residential painting needs, check out rowpaint.com. Don't forget about their concrete coatings. Transform that ugly concrete slab on your back patio in your garage in just one day. Contact rowpaint.com for a free estimate today. The official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics, and our title sponsor at Bronco Nation News is rowpaint.com. Idaho Central Credit Union's been helping members achieve financial success for more than 80 years. There's an ICCU branch on almost every corner, but the closest is in your pocket with free eBranch mobile and online banking. See why more than 500,000 members love ICCU and join 1 in 4 Idahoans by making the switch today at ICCU.com. Since 1984, Ridley's Family Markets has prided itself on being a hometown food and drug store that employed value members of the local community. Ridley's Family Markets has 13 locations in the state of Idaho and many more in the surrounding states. Download the new Ridley's app to your smartphone. Get savings up to 40% off at the checkout line and find a location near you at shopridleys.com. Former Bronco Matt Bauscher is once again the number 1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley. No home is too big or too small for Matt and his team. Let them fulfill all your real estate needs at BauscherRealEstate.com. All right, Boise State football team heading to Memphis. The game on Saturday. They will head out tomorrow. We got a lot of comments and things in the chat. Feeling more excitement in basketball than football 20 minutes into the show and no football talk. Yeah, it was the first day of practice. We spend hours every day talking football. We thought we'd give the basketball team a little love. Bronco Ray. Roddy Anderson, Sky says, going to pop off this year. Let's see. Let the freshmen eat this season, Leon. Can't wait. Toughest year for sure for Rice to figure out the playing time. A lot of great comments coming in on basketball, but there is a football game on Saturday. We'll get back to the basketball talk here as we move forward in the next couple of weeks on Bronco Nation News Live. But big game on Saturday for the football team. Obviously at 2-2. I know it doesn't matter as much for the Mountain West race, or doesn't matter at all for that. But I mean, I was interviewed yesterday, Jordan, for the Memphis radio pregame show. And taped an interview with them. And I mean, if you look at I know it's a very slim possibility, but if you're a Boise State fan trying to hold hope for the rest of the season and the importance of a game like Saturday, if you're a Boise State player, will it happen? Probably not. But if Boise State were to run the table the rest of the season, they still would be in the mix, I think, for the New Year's Six spot. You look at that would include, wins over 2 teams they'd probably be going against, Fresno and Air Force, 2 ranked teams. And the group of 5 is just not great this year. You've got a couple other teams out there, but just none that really scare you. And so I'm not saying it's going to happen. It's probably not going to happen. I'm just saying if you look at scenarios where what are they playing for on Saturday? Like, your hope would be that they get on a run here and can win some of these games and get back in that conversation. They're 4, 5, 6 wins away from being anywhere near that conversation. But you got to start. You got to start somewhere. And a win over one of the better AAC teams in Memphis would be a nice win to have under your belt if you were able to go on some run and beat Fresno and get some wins under your belt. So I think there's still a little bit, even though everyone says, oh, it's non-conference, it's not there's still technically a little on the line that you're playing for on Saturday to keep that dream alive.
I mean, I would say maybe I'm crazy. I was looking at the schedule yesterday. I would say there's a better chance that odds-wise Boise State misses a bowl game than goes to a New Year's Six bowl. They have a really tough schedule. That's why this Memphis game is so important, because you start looking I'll take the blame or whatever on this. I thought the Mountain West sucked. I thought they were terrible. I looked at Boise State's schedule. I was like, I don't see 2 losses. I don't see 2 Mountain West losses. You start looking at it now. It's like if they lose this Memphis game, all of a sudden you're looking at the game. You're trying to get the count to 6. You're like, San Jose State, probably a win, but that's going to be really tough. Colorado State, probably a win. If they play like they did against Colorado, that could be tough. Wyoming, that looks really tough now. Fresno State, that looks really, really tough. Air Force, the end of the season, that looks really tough. New Mexico, Utah State, those are probably wins. But all of a sudden, this conference is really not a cakewalk. And Boise State kind of needs to win this game to get a little momentum. First of all, to to start getting towards 8, 9, 10 wins, but also just to like, have confidence going into tougher games. I mean, they're playing really good quarterbacks this year. Peasley looks solid. The kid from Colorado State looks really good.
Yeah.
Chevin Cordero, they're playing in 2 weeks. This Memphis kid's really good. Boise State has not fared very well against decent quarterbacks. And they've got to start figuring some things out now so that when they get to October, November, they're a little more secure.
I worry most about the Fresno State game on the road, obviously a late game. That's going to be an extremely tough game. The Wyoming game, I agree. The San Jose game, those are at least at home. So I think you got to believe they can find a way to win those. I know they haven't played great at home recently, but you'd like to believe they can win those. But I mean, I think the at Fresno, and then I think the at Colorado State game will be a little sneakier than some think, before the bye week. But it's going to come down to me to two games, at the Air Force game and at Fresno, because Air Force does not play Fresno this year. Air Force could be undefeated and ranked like, who knows, in the top 15 or something if they just keep moving up a few spots. They're favored in every game. They don't play. They're favored in every game until they play Boise State. They don't have to play Fresno this year. They missed them on the unbalanced schedule. There's a real chance Air Force is 11-0 going into the Boise State game at the end of the season. I mean, check their schedule. Who's beating Air Force with how good they look right now? And so Air Force, to me, the last game of the regular season, there could be a ton on the line in that game. Now, they still do play San Diego State, and Wyoming, but those are both at home. The next 2 weeks they're home. San Diego State and Wyoming. They're at Navy. They do have to go to Colorado State. Obviously have Army as well, but at Hawaii and UNLV, and then at Boise State to finish off the season. So I don't see a game on that where I'm like, oh, they have no chance at winning that. I mean, the Air Force could be undefeated and ranked, and the Fresno game is going to be tough too. And if with the fact they don't have the divisions anymore, I mean, one loss to a Fresno, you could lose a tiebreaker to them. One loss to an Air Force, you could lose a tiebreaker to them and not even in the championship game. So there's a lot of different scenarios in play here where they could still win a lot of games, but they could lose the wrong game. Or as you said, they could still lose 3 or 4 more games. I mean, I think the Memphis game is going to give us a decent idea of the direction of this season.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that right now. Jordan brought it up. Boise State's probably not favored to be in the Mountain West Championship. Was there a point? I mean, maybe last year when they were 2-2, but they had only played one Mountain West game. Like, how often has that ever happened? And it's scary when you start looking at the schedule, thinking Fresno State and Air Force have pretty easy schedules and don't play each other. Where if Boise State just loses the 2 wrong games at Fresno and to Air Force on, I think it's Black Friday or that Saturday.
No, it's Black Friday.
All of a sudden, they're not playing in the Mountain West Championship for the first time since they joined the conference. That's not right.
That's not right.
That's not right. First time since 2020.
Yeah, 2020 they were in it with COVID. They've been in it 4 years in a row. I don't think they were in it in 2019 or 18, I believe. They missed the game due to a tiebreaker. But they've
wasn't there 1 year though that Utah State played San Diego State? Yeah,
that was 21, I guess it was, or 21, I think 21.
21. Okay.
Yes, I guess they've been in it for the last 5 years. I think something like that. You look at Fresno State's schedule, and I mean, they're ranked already in 4-0. They're Nevada, Wyoming, Utah State, UNLV. I mean, they're going to be 8-0 probably, and at that point, they might be top 10, top 15 if they win. They're already ranked, and even if you just. I've done the voting. If teams lose, you just slide them up a couple spots. If New Mexico, it doesn't matter who they're playing. If Fresno State just wins their next 4 games and they're already 24th, they're going to be 15, 16 probably at least by the time Boise State plays them. Whether or not they're actually the 15th best team, who knows? But yeah, that you're talking about an 8-0 potential game. So that's going to be a huge game for Boise State. But like I'm saying, if you find a way to win that game and you get a win over a top 15 Fresno team, and then you do the same thing against a top 10 or 15 Air Force team a couple weeks after that, and you win the championship and you're 9-3 or 10-2 or 11-2 or whatever. I mean, I is it going to happen? I'm saying the odds are like 5%. It's probably not going to happen. Let's not misconstrue my words. I'm just saying I think a scenario is still out there. A path still exists where Boise State is not completely done yet fighting for a New Year's Six bowl game. And I think that path includes obviously having to win on Saturday. And so if you're wanting, whether it's proving that the Mountain West is better than the AAC, whatever it is, I think there's still a lot for Boise State to be playing for on Saturday.
Oh, 100%. And, before we start talking about all those hypotheticals too, like Boise State's just got to show a defense that can kind of stop a passing attack. Boise State just has to show that their offense can play in rhythm. They have to show that, hey, it's not just the Ashton Genty show and no one else. The only reason I say that is because things are going to happen. Like, you can only expect him to get tackled so many times before he is a little banged up or just not himself come October, November. And prevention is key in these situations. That's why, you kind of start looking at Taylor Green, like, can he progress to the point where he's taking a little bit of a load off Ashton Genty, and Ashton's not getting banged to the ground, 30 times a game? That's going to be something that, we need to see on, I guess, Saturday.
Hey, next Thursday, we'll be doing a live broadcast from Topgolf. Ball Ventures, Alquist BVA, Idaho's premier commercial real estate development company, over 10 projects in the Treasure Valley and 3.9 million planned square feet of construction since the company's inception in 2018. BVA has already made an incredible impact on Idaho's commercial real estate market. BVA projects specialize in office, retail, flex, medical, industrial spaces located at some of the most strategic and visible locations in the valley. Need a developer? Looking for new space? Think BVA. At BVA, we are Idaho's developer. Taco Bell, also a big supporter. The Nicolason family, SON Management, proudly been operating Taco Bell restaurants in and around the Treasure Valley since 1969. They were one of the first to make a 7-figure donation to the Lyle Smith Society. Also been stepping up their support, Boise State Athletics, with the men's and women's basketball endowed scholarships. They've committed more than $310,000 by 2026. So to support student athlete scholarships for the men's and women's basketball team. So get more information on their financial support at Boise State Athletics. You can even apply for a job. They're looking for some folks to join the team. TacoBellWorks.com. Our friends at Lithia Ford of Boise, they're proud supporter of Boise State Athletics, the official car and truck of the Broncos. Lithia Ford of Boise supports Bronco student athletes through NIL deals, including Ford vehicles to Taylor Green, Riley Smith. You got Paige Barsh from the volleyball team. Check out the all-electric F-150 Lightning or the electric Mustang Mach-E available at Lithia Ford Boise. You can view a full inventory of their vehicles at lithiafordboise.com. And, of course, the Blue and Orange store, Travis Hawks and Company. Travis, as a big supporter, gets to travel with the team tomorrow down to Memphis. Hoping to catch up with him for either dinner or maybe breakfast on Saturday before the game. But the Blue and Orange store, free shipping, any order over $40, or you can check them out online there and get that free shipping, as I said, or check them out in person at the Boise Town Square Mall. They're on the second floor of the mall next to Pro Image there. All the new coaches apparel, sideline apparel, Nike hats, the Taylor Green, Ashton Genty, NIL stuff. Check them out at the Blue and Orange store. And if you need a job, how about Transportation Compliance Service, TCS? They can help you get into the trucking industry. They're doing a great job finding folks jobs here in the Treasure Valley, but they're a national company as well, based here in the Treasure Valley. So check them out, transcomservice.com. You want to be a truck driver, want to be out on your own, make some good money? Check them out at transcomservice.com. By the way, Circa Sports, I'm supporting the hat today, Jordan, for Circa Sports. If you have any good NFL picks you like, drop them in the YouTube chat there. We got to come up with 5 NFL picks against the spread this week. We also have the Survivor contest. We are down. We are among the 2,500 or so left of the 9,200 that started. And we are moving on. Hopefully, we're moving on to week 4. And we're going to be going, I believe, with the San Francisco 49ers this week against your Arizona Cardinals again in 4 weeks. Third time in 4 weeks that we're going to go against them, I think.
Cardinals look good.
They did against the Cowboys, but going on the road against the 49ers, I think 14-point underdogs, that would be quite the upset. There was a couple other teams we're looking at. We'll have to decide there, but Drop your best NFL picks, your survivor pick in the YouTube chat there. And again, this is a BNN entry, so if BNN wins the contest, we'll refund all of our subscribers' yearly fee for 1 year. And looking forward to hopefully doing that in December and having a big party down at Circa for all of our members if we win the $9.2 million. So as we get ready to wrap this up, Jordan, any final thoughts on heading to Memphis and the big game on Saturday?
These are the cool non-conference matchups I think that fans want to see. It's going to be kind of weird. Like next year they're going to Georgia Southern. They've got some odd games in East Carolina, but this Memphis one where it's a really good AAC team. It's only one time zone away. It's not completely on the East Coast. A lot of the kids' parents from Texas can drive up. This is a cool non-conference matchup against a team that is going to prepare one way or another Boise State for the rest of their schedule. I mean, this is a really physical defensive line that is going to be just as good as any front the Broncos are going to see in Mountain West play. And they've got a quarterback that's basically at like 1,500 yards already or 1,100 yards already. Boise State is going to have to start getting ready for, the Chevin Corderos, the Andrew Peasleys, as crazy as that is to say, of their Mountain West slate. And it starts this week with Memphis, making sure your defensive backs are a little shored up, making sure your D line is getting pressure on a quarterback. And, it's good to have these tests when it doesn't really matter for your conference lives. And Boise State's got a lot to prove this week, a lot to show and a lot to get better at.
Well, go subscribe. You see the promo code at the bottom of the screen, BNN50DEAL. BNN50DEAL is the promo code. You can read Jordan. You can read Mike Prater. You can read myself. And looking forward to that. I know, Jordan, you're working on the Andy Avalos story, making his return to the Liberty Bowl where he had the 92-yard touchdown return. And I know you're talking to a lot of guys involved in that game. It's going to be a cool story.
Yeah, it's just, that was one of the only clips I've ever seen of Andy Avalos actually as a player. And so it's kind of crazy that, Boise State has never been back to the Liberty Bowl since, not for a non-con, not to play in that game. So I thought it was pretty cool. And, I talked to Ron Collins and, it was his last game because obviously he followed Dan Hawkins to Colorado. But, he was kind of saying, like, in a way that helped set up Chris Peterson's success. Like, that Boise State team was so good with so many young guys that, it allowed kind of Chris Peterson to build over the next couple of years. It kind of set the stage for the 07 Fiesta Bowl. And it's hard to disagree. I mean, that was a really good Boise State team playing one of the better offenses in the country that year in Louisville.
Lost the game, I think, 44-40 or something to the number 10 ranked team in the country. It was a close game. And so I'll be checking that out coming up later this week. Got a couple other features that he's working on as well. Ashton Genty. So if you want to be able to read them, you got to subscribe. BNN50DEAL is the promo code when you go sign up for a yearly subscription. That gets you a full year of unlimited access to BroncoNationNews.com for just $50. So we would love your support. We're putting in the effort. We're paying for both Jordan and I to go all the way to Memphis this weekend. So we're putting in the effort. Hopefully you're going to return the favor, purchase a subscription, BNN50DEAL. And I've been hinting at it, but we probably are going to make at least one post-game show later in the season, subscriber only, just to thank our subscribers for what they're doing for us. So you're watching these shows for free. But if you want to make sure you don't miss out on any content moving forward, hopefully you got $50 laying around. You can use BNN50DEAL as the promo. If you can't afford that, I get it. We have a $6.99 monthly option as well there. So check it out, BroncoNationNews.com. Hopefully you will subscribe. As always, if you do the deal, we'll see if we can throw in some sort of gift card to Taco Bell. I think I have a couple Taco Bell gift cards left. If you want to sign up, we'll throw the next 3 or 4 of Taco Bell gift cards. So sign up, subscribe, and read Jordan, read Prater, read myself. We will talk to you later. Mike Prater will join me tomorrow morning. We got coach interviews this afternoon. I am off to give my speech at Idaho Innovation Week. So we'll see how that goes today, and we'll enlighten some folks on the future of sports media here in a little bit. So have a great rest of your day. Appreciate you, Jordan. We will talk to everybody a little later. Bronco Nation News Live, BroncoNationNews.com.